Hey guys, Remi's Reviews here and welcome back to my second year-end list. Today we're going to be looking at my personal top 10 worst albums of the year. Keep in mind that this is all just my humble opinion. You can share your in the comments down below. This is going to be a really short one too since I don't like to spread much negativity. Follow me on Album of the Year if you want to see my full ratings on these albums and all of my reviews. Subscribe and let's get into it. At number 10, we have The Maybe Man by AJR. This was by many considered the best AJR album, and while it probably is, it still sounds like AJR, which basically means it's the most disgustingly clean alternative pop with horribly corny lyrics and horrendous production. There are like one or two bearable songs on here, but everything else is just unlistenable. Next up at the number 9 place, we have WEEDKILLER by Ashnikko, which is basically just a trap version of Melanie Martinez, with some awfully tacky and dated ideas, horribly cringy lyrics and songwriting, and overall it's just a complete head scratcher of a record. At number 8 we have Glaive with I Care So Much That I Don't Care At All, which judging by the title you could already tell is an absolute shitfest of an emo album, with horrendous songwriting and angst that should have been kept in a 13-year-old boy's middle school diary. It's super tacky at all fronts and there are little to no redeeming qualities about it if I'm being completely honest. Next up at number 7, and this one is quite controversial, but I have Destroy Lonely with If Looks Could Kill. And as much as I like a lot of the rage artists, such as Yeet, that usually get put in the same conversations as Lonely, I could never understand the appeal of this guy's music. I mean, he's incapable of having a solid flow or hook, he sounds half asleep on these tracks, and the beats are just so damn minimalistic and empty that when you make a 26 track and an hour and 23 minutes long record out of it, it ends up being one of the most agonizing experiences I've had to sit through this year, unfortunately. Speaking of agonizing experiences, at number 6 we have NF with Hope. The Christian rapper, he's back, and this is the kind of the opposite to Destroy Lonely's album. Instead of it being empty and lifeless, it's so overblown to a point where it's stomach turning. The orchestral dramatic production combined with NF's stupidly cringy delivery just gives off a horrible vibe, and I really don't like it in the slightest, not even a little bit. At number 5 we have Don't Get Too Close by Skrillex, which is the album equivalent of overeating a pack of Sour Patch Kids. It's so sugary, sweet, and absolutely substanceless. The songs are painful to listen to at times, it's just not a good time. And while I wasn't crazy about the first Skrillex album he dropped this year, this one definitely takes the cake for being the worst. Next up at number 4 I have 10,000 gecs by 100 gecs. And while I always heavily disliked 100 gecs, this album is easily their worst offender yet, with the album sounding as annoying as possible with repulsing and unfunny aesthetics and lyrics, random goofy sound effects, and extremely tasteless hyperpop for mentally damaged 6-year-olds. It's really not for me, and I genuinely can't stand a second of it. At number 3 we have an artist that had possibly the worst album streak this year, that being of course Trippie Redd with MUZIK. With so much slop from Trippie Redd this year, it seems like he's lost the ability to make competent music completely. And the 25-track disaster of MUZIK explains that. This album is so bloated, so generic, so tasteless, so incredibly boring that it's frustrating to listen to. Trippie Redd keeps deteriorating and digging his career a foot deeper into the grave with every single album drop, and this one takes the cake. Coming up at number 2, we have the legendary sequel, Lil Pump 2 by Lil Pump. And anyone who's heard this album probably expected it to show up on pretty much anyone's worst album of the year list. And there's just not a lot I can say about it, honestly. It's just a terrible attempt of Lil Pump trying to come back to his old sound, while that sound is at least 5 years outdated at this point. At times it's hilariously awful, and at other times it's agonizingly unlistenable. Drumroll please, the worst album of 2023 is easily, without a single doubt, going to Portals by Melanie Martinez. Yes, this is not only the worst album I've heard this year, but one of the worst albums I've heard in my entire life. Musically, it's the most unlistenable and horrible that alternative pop has to offer. Theme-wise, it's ugly and unsettling, and lyrically, it's repulsing and disgusting, considering the actions of Melanie and what she's done. Her obsession with little children slows down a tiny bit on this record from her previous stuff, but it's pretty much still here, and it just makes me want to throw up. Everything about this album just makes me want to vomit, and you couldn't pay me $300 to listen to it ever again. Please, God, no. Alright, so that was my list of the top 10 worst albums of this year, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of doing these kinds of negative lists. I'm sorry if I was a little, vile, but whatever. But it's just kind of part of the game. I had to do it. Again, follow me on Album of the Year, subscribe, and happy holidays. I hope everyone has a good Christmas. Bye.